Good morning, guys. We are seeding our first field, the last field for the year. We're doing some fall seeding, some hay and pasture seed for a client, and this has got a pretty cool story. It's been a long night. I kind of seeded all yesterday and all night. Hopefully get this field done here this morning. But if you can see my breath, it's cold out. Better get that heated seat on. Anyway, guys, stay tuned. This field is pretty cool, and can't wait to tell you about it. Heated seat, check. Seed from DSV North Star, check. Seed loaded in the mini drill, check. We went through a pretty good service on everything yesterday before we started this quarter section. So there's not really much servicing or greasing we got to do, but like every piece of equipment, quick walk around while the tractor's warming up, making sure that all of our hoses and openers and, well, a general once over, make sure everything's working, everything's connected. We didn't break a seed tube or depth adjustments at the wrong setting. So pretty quick once over. I will give this Horsch Avatar a lot of credit that way. It's not quite set it and forget it like no implement is, but this thing is pretty reliable. It's not very often that something comes out of adjustment for it. The only thing that's really ever come out of adjustment is when we're folding it and unfolding it. The cables that hold the seed delivery tubes periodically will get hung up on one of the depth gauge openers when it's folded and coming unfolded. So when that happens, it has actually pulled the opener and moved it into a different depth setting. It happens to the same one on either side. So as long as we keep an eye out for that, our depth settings should stay the same. But a few more minutes here, that heat seeder should be good. And yeah, cylinder wall temperature, oil temps, those will be good too. But I'm worried about my hiney. All right, guys, this field's got a cool story. Watch this. All right, dropped her back into the ground. Day 2 of this field. I had a lot of things going on the first half of the seeding job here, and I just couldn't have a camera in my hand. So anyways, today's going to be the video and the last seeding video for 2024. So this is pretty neat. The field we're working in here, we are seeding both a hay seed plus a pasture seed. We are all finished on the pasture seed, and you may say, why are you seeding both, David? Well, let's get into it. We've been farming this piece of ground, it's about a quarter section, for about 10 years. It was in hay when we first took it on, but it was pretty old hay and in pretty rough disrepair. So over the last several years, we've been pulling out all the stops on a crop rotation on this property. In the meantime, the new landowner that now owns this piece, he appreciates obviously all the work that's been done, and it's a really nice piece of ground, but he also runs cattle. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna help him get set up for his cattle operation. So we are gonna seed some pasture and we're gonna seed some down to hay. Why are we seeding both? Well, he needs both. He's a cattleman. So what we're gonna do is utilize a whole bunch of the headlands on this field that are actually quite wasted. The cattle have tons of available grazing in the headlands. This is not a square and it's not a flat piece of ground. There's headlands everywhere. They don't get grazed, they just get wasted. Yeah, a little bit of wildlife will live in them. They're the only things that will utilize them, but they're being very wasted. The grass, like there's a grove of trees right there. The grass is like 5 feet tall in those groves, and there's several of those. Thankfully though, they are all situated around the outside of the field. So there's these enormous headlands on the field that are wasted. They're not good for anything. So there's a big controversial subject out there about regenerative agriculture. No farmer will disagree that regenerative agriculture is a good thing if the regenerative agriculture is practical and feasible in your area, in your location, on your soil type, on your piece of ground, within your lifestyle, within everything. If it can work, yes, it's a great thing, but it doesn't work quite everywhere. As an example, it's pretty hard to do here because we have a 90-day growing season. Cover cropping's pretty tough here. There isn't enough manure, there isn't any dairies or hog barns. There's not enough natural fertilizer to supply this area. So we need to make the most of our land in different ways. Yes, it's a step towards being regenerative, but we can't officially call it that. However, getting a little off topic there on a heated subject. So what this landlord is going to do is he's designed a fencing and watering system where this field's all open. Other than the perimeter fence, there are no fences. So he has got a fencing plan that we've been helping him work with over the summer. And now what's going to happen is the perimeter of this property, about 60 or 70% of this property that has the headlands with a bunch of wasted acres in it, those headlands are going to get fenced off. And for sake of conversation, we're going to call those the alleyways. The alleyways around this property are going to be seeded to a pasture blend of grass. The variety of grasses that we've chose, we leaned on our dealer DSV North Star for the seed for both the hay and the pasture, but we've chosen high traffic, high grazable, compaction resistant grasses, all these cool varieties that are available to us for these alleyways. So the fences aren't in yet, or else I'd show them to you today, but what we've done is with the GPS, we have seeded the pasture alleyways to the alleyway blend of grasses. The alleyway blend is going to be seeded at 15 pounds per acre. And this was actually a very strategic blend. And again, thank you, Brian at DSV North Star. We had some ideas where we wanted to be with this, but having a valuable agronomic opinion from a supplier such as DSV North Star really helps us tailor in the exact varieties to what we're after. So thank you again to DSV North Star. So the alleyway blend is going to be 23% AAC Maximus brome grass, 9% Elnura annual rye, again, the cover crop component, 36% creeping red fescue. That's the high grazing, high compaction, trampling resistant component, as well as 32% sheep's fescue. So the hayfield, the inner area inside the alleyways that's going to be hayland and late fall, winter pasture, we are using a annual ryegrass for the cover crop. So yes, we're fall seeding this, and we're just tickling it into the surface at about a 1/4 inch deep. The ratio of grass, because we have an annual ryegrass in there, we're putting this whole blend down at 16 pounds per acre. We're using 23% of 10-5 brand alfalfa, 9% Carlton smooth brome grass, 32% AC Knowles hybrid brome grass, 9% pubescent wheatgrass, 18% satin tall fescue, and 9% of, oh, I just got to make sure I don't take out one of these survey stakes for the new fence. Again, the annual ryegrass, the Elnura, is going to be the cover crop. So with the right management practices and moving the cattle around the property so that they spend only a certain amount of times in each area, the water system is going to help with that. This is going to be a pretty neat system. I'm happy for the landowner, and well, I'm just happy to see land get used to its best usage. And with this landowner being a cattleman, that's the best usage for him. So again, stop and rambling. All right, just threw a couple more bags of seed in the drill. We're pretty far from the truck right now, so threw a couple more bags in, but thought I'd point out something here. Here, I'll try to get the camera. Thumbnail. We actually haven't talked about this yet this year. We've been using the drill. We've got a few thousand acres on the new horse avatar already. And one of the biggest struggles that we've had with our other drill, I'm not gonna name brands or go down that road, but one of the biggest problems we've always had with no-till drills is seeding brome grass. It is stubborn. It does not feed well through metering rolls, tubes. It blocks crazy easy. They look like little miniature canoes, and they must have like a bit of a hairy texture, because as they vibrate in the hopper, they almost create their own little aggregate and they stick together real easy. I just mentioned to you the several types and high rate of brome that's in the hayfield blend here. And we have never had problems with blockages with brome grass with the new Horse Avatar, which is super amazing. We are thrilled about that. Part of the reason is the hopper design and the metering roll design of the Horse system works really well. So it's versatile for a bunch of different seeds. It's also incredibly accurate. So two pretty big claims to fame, but because it funnels in on all four sides of the hopper design and the way the metering roll works, it just doesn't block. So we see a lot of brome grass in hay in this part of the world, in this country here. So we're thrilled that the new Horse Avatar is seeding brome really well. So if you guys are brome grass growers in your blends and you're looking for a drill, try that Horse Avatar on for side. While we're out here, I'll get away from the tractor and the noise here a little bit. I'm just gonna check the depth of the seed. All right, so we are striving for a 1/4 inch of depth. Typically, we don't fall seed, at least on our farm. It is done in this area, but typically we don't do it. The reason is oh, there's a brome grass, 1/4 inch, and there's some alfalfa. The alfalfa fell a little further down in the crumbly soil here, but we're still only 5/16 to 3/8 of an inch. So typically part of the reason we don't fall seed is there's too much that could go wrong. You know, if there's erosion and you know all these really nice furrows that you can see, the seed is placed at a 1/4 inch deep. We go through enormous lengths to seed it so accurately and so shallow. So if there's erosion, if there's anything that happens over the winter, traffic, mice can come in, birds can peck the seed out of the ground. There's a bunch of little things that can happen. And with the price of seed, this project that we're doing here, I'm not gonna disclose exact numbers or anything or people's information, but there's roughly $10,000 worth of grass seed here on just this field, right? So if it germinates here in the fall, it's gonna winter kill. However, it's the middle of October right now, and we've drug our feet and waited as long as we possibly could. We actually have 4 centimeters of snow coming tomorrow. Our first snowfall's tomorrow. So with that being said, if we are going to fall seed, we want to seed as late as possible in the fall so that there's no risk of it germinating. If it germinates, it's going to die over the winter. So our soil temperature is only a couple degrees now. The nights are cold. We're getting frost every night. Nothing's going to germinate. If it snowed tomorrow, which it's going to, and then we had some 20-degree days come this fall, if we had a really warm fall, that would be bad. The risk of this germinating could be a $10,000 mistake. But I don't want to worry anybody. That's not what we're trying to do by doing this or talking about this subject. Fall seeding does work really well. The reason it can work well is in the spring, as soon as the soil temperature is up to 12 to 15 degrees Celsius, that grass is coming up. You are giving that grass the best competitive edge in the spring as possible. It's even better than being seeded in the spring if it's already there, as long as it hadn't had any damage over the winter. You got to pick your battles, and again, without disclosing too much information, this seed had to get in this fall. I'll leave it there. This stuff had to go in this fall, so we are going to do the best job we can at fall seeding this, and we are just tickling the surface and getting these seeds about a 1/4 inch down. This is what I was talking about with the Horse mini drill and the way their hopper systems are designed in general in conjunction with the metering roll. You see how it has a tapered base on that dimension of the tank? So movie magic here, tapered base. What's likely contributing to our success with this metering system that Horse has, feeding a variety of crops, especially the tough ones like brome grass, is that it's a complete funnel system on 4 sides of every hopper, leading down to a very accurate and nimble, I'd like to say, metering system. You have an enormous plethora of metering rolls available, and you can pick and choose the one you want, and this drill can likely seed it. So I better get back to it. I just got a news alert where there's this big thing going on in the UK right now about spreading sewage on farmland. I'm going to try to talk about this real quickly. All I'm going to say is everything in moderation is good. Sometimes the people that complain without a solution. If you're going to complain about something, come to the table with a solution. It's the same as voting. You can't complain about your government unless you took the time to go vote. Same theory. So these people that complain about sewage and manure being spread on farmland, I really hope those aren't the same people that complain about synthetic products, man-made products being used as fertilizer on farmland, because those are your only two options. If you are fortunate enough to have a dairy barn or a feedlot or somewhere near you, even a city, spreading human manure in the right percentages can be healthy for soil. So if you're fortunate enough to live in an area where you have access to that stuff and it's managed and put down properly and utilized properly, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just can't help but think right now, as we're doing such good things here in our area of the world, at least we're hoping to, we're trying to do the best we can. I really hope that the people that complain about some of these farming practices aren't the same people complaining about all of the other options, because if you complain about all of the options, well, you like food, don't you? Everyone needs to eat. All I'm going to say is I hope the people that are complaining about some of these situations aren't complaining about them all. Anyways, that's the closest thing I'm ever going to get to a political rant. And it's not political, it's just maybe a little bit societal. Let's go farming. Let's do the best we can. Let's do the most sustainable things. Let's do the best we can within our abilities, in our power, to treat the soil right and produce the best food we can for the world. Ending it there. I'm done. Okay, so just to kind of further explain the headlands and the groves and the drainages that I was mentioning earlier, down there by the trees that still have some yellow leaves on them, there's a dugout. All the water comes through a natural drainage coulee, and as you can see, the trees naturally grow there because it's never been farmed and it can't be farmed. And in between where these trees end and down by the dugout where the trees are with the yellow leaves, someone in a previous life has built a drainage there and a swale, and it very accurately and does a good job of containing the water so that that field doesn't get flooded. And then it holds it in a dugout, and once the dugout gets to a certain level, it overflows and the water continues on. But to look at the drainage here, if you walk this way, this has never been farmable land. Obviously, with it being a natural draw and coulee, it's too steep, it's too thick, and the trees do well there. So there's tons of grazing, there's lots of room for natural habitat and wildlife. And if we walk straight into these trees, everybody knows, or I hope understands, when you have rolling topography, you actually gain acres. A quarter section that's flat will be 160 acres. When a quarter section has rolling topography, it's going to be more. And this property in specific has quite a few heights of land change, and it's probably, I don't know, it's 170 acres. But as you can see, it's probably 20 or 30 feet down in that natural draw. So the cattle with the new fences that are going to go in here are going to be able to graze all the headlands and all of these groves, coulees, shelter belts. This whole property's full of stuff like this. And as you can see, it's wasteland. The deer and some wildlife might eat this, but it never has access to cattle because there's a crop growing here typically. Now we're going to get the best of both worlds. There'll be a crop growing here in the form of hay, and all the pasture will get utilized by cattle. And just like that, the last field for the Horse Avatar 2024. It's been a good year with that new drill. I'm kind of sad to park this thing. Man, she folds up small. This is one of my favorite implements to pull around. It's It's been a good drill. I can't believe it's October 2024. 1 year ago from now, we were just booking our trip to go to Agritechnica in Germany and do a bunch of farm tours over there in Europe. We didn't even have this procured yet. To think about it, in a 12-month period, we hadn't had the drill procured yet. We hadn't gone to Agritechnica to figure out what drill we're gonna buy. And then 3, the procurement process, and 4, the shipping, the Baltimore Bridge incident, you name it. 12 months ago today, there was a lot of challenges in getting that thing in our hands. We were, well, even 5, we were liquidating other equipment we have multiples of just so that we could afford to buy that. So in 12 months, look at what we've done, let alone we've probably put about 4,500 acres on that drill already in that 12 months. So the amount of work that thing's done, let alone the amount of work it's taken to get here, it's just crazy. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this episode. Kind of a nice bittersweet end of the seeding season. And as you can see behind me, the field is seeded, and here's another one of those groves we were talking about. So this is the last you guys are gonna see this field in this shape and size. It's gonna be fenced up a little bit, but hopefully we're still around to be farming it. So thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for everyone and the lovely comments on the 1 year anniversary video, by the way. Thanks, guys.